those anymore. Oh, I just clicked the live button. You can't get no-dos anymore. I remember like I went to like a church group. There's something called Acquire the Fire when I was a kid, and I took an entire bottle of no-dos, and I took like throughout the weekend I took nothing but no-dos. Like we just took, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Just caffeine pills, weren't they?
They were ephedrine.
Oh,
Yeah.
the caffeine pills.
That was crystal meth for my generation.
Yeah.
That was good shit.
Be hopping around for 4 hours.
I didn't even know what it was. Like it was the first time I'd ever seen it. And we were just like, well, we don't want to sleep. We want to hang out because I was with a friend and we were out of town. And, you know, just took an entire bottle of no-dos.
This stuff looks great. And then your teeth, you're grinding your teeth.
Yeah. How dangerous could a thing called White Crosses be?
Yeah, that's good stuff. Oh, we used to, and you know, growing up, I was of that generation of Jolt soda.
Yeah, I still drink that.
Yeah.
Oh man. I am now diabetic, and I look back at some of those life choices. And it's starting to make sense a little bit.
Yeah, occasionally. I think last time we were on stream together, I was drinking Jolt Cola, and I kept trying to just to show it, but it wouldn't. Couldn't tell.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
All right, you are.
That stuff seems to have, you just have the Red Bull and you're right in it.
Yeah.
You don't need the Jolt.
We are online, I think.
They've even got sugar-free Red Bull, which is beyond belief to me.
That's weird. That
so
should
weird.
be. That's not a thing.
So weird.
All right.
I'm excited, Ken.
Are we good?
Yeah, you're good. You don't have any Facebook like comments, but people are popping up on YouTube. So
Yeah, we'll give everybody a minute or two. But before we get started, I could fill you in on kind of some of my background a little bit here. As a kid, I grew up in Connecticut, and as a kid, we would drive up to Montreal all the time because one, the drinking age was 18. We would go up there, get sauced. The American dollar was worth so much more than the Canadian dollar back then. So we would get sauced all day long, go to like these fancy restaurants, like, we would spend money on steak dinners and, and it was just me and, several 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old friends. And we'd just go up there and watch hockey. We'd go watch Martin Brodeur, who was from there. Once my Hartford Whalers left, we ended up going up there, and it ended up being just cheap tickets. So I've been going up there. I haven't been up there in many years, but I was going up there when I was 18, 19, 20, 21. Well, I don't want to date myself here, but it was a long, long time ago.
Guy Lafleur.
Guy Lafleur, Rocket Richard. I took French for 4 years. I can't speak French to save my life. And I'll tell you a great story. My buddy and I go up there. Every year we started going to this French club on a bus trip. You'd get into hotels. We'd be at the Marriott with the cool windows. And when my very first trip, I was up there, 17, 18. I'm walking through Montreal going, bonjour, comment allez-vous? Bonjour, bonjour. My buddy looks at me, he goes, stop effing speaking French to everybody. They speak English here. So I'm like, okay, all right. 2 minutes later, an older woman comes up and she goes, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, je parle anglais. And she looks at me and goes, no. Parle français. And I looked at my buddy. I said, see, should have paid attention in French class. But I can't speak French. I suck at French. God bless like Sylvie and Josephine and those guys up there. I'm so impressed with people who could speak two different languages. I could never pull it off. But I was a huge baseball guy. We would go up to watch Les Canadiens. Oh, and I'd go watch hockey. I broke my heart when the Hartford Whalers lost 2 Game 7s to those Montreal people. So I'm getting you all back tonight for all of those hockey losses. So I got my Montreal jersey and my Hartford Whalers hat. So there you go.
Nice.
But I've been to Montreal a million times, and I know the areas that we're going to talk about tonight. And so what I wanted to do tonight was just show everybody. I go a couple of different directions and a couple of different paths, and if something I show you guys works for your solve, God bless you. I'm going to take you on a journey. We're going to try to figure some stuff out, and I'm just going to show you different portions of the picture that I notice and not the usual crap that we always go over, if that's okay.
Good. We don't like the usual crap.
Yeah, usual crap.
We're tired of the usual crap.
And I, if you are listening to this first time, I would highly recommend going and listening to the first podcast that you guys did way back in the day, doing the first 12 Treasures podcast, the secret podcast, because this Montreal stuff that they talked about is a lot of related prequel to that stuff too. So
you don't think those old episodes are kind of outdated at this point?
Yes and no. And I will kind of explain as we go why I think some of that is pretty good.
All right.
We're using the Montreal painting. We're using the correct, in my opinion, Montreal verse. And I think that and I was a big St. Louis guy, and we talked about it earlier. I could make anything into a St. Louis hunt. This is not a St. Louis hunt whatsoever. And I if that upsets people, I'm sorry. We've been told 4+ times now by JJP that it's Montreal. So that's where I'm at, and I'm happy to help you. If you've got a hunt in St. Louis and you think you're in St. Louis, I'm here. I can go look for you. I'm happy to do that. Please give me a call. With that said.
Without further ado, we present.
All right. So how do I do this?
Oh.
So I got to figure out how to do this.
As long as you don't have that hook come out from the left.
Every time someone says we're going to use the correct, in my opinion, verse, I expect them to go, okay, so the first chapter is the first chapter of Canadian history.
I'm trying to figure out how to share this. There we go. There we go.
It would explain why you haven't found.
He's going to start with as you walk the feeding of the world.
We were talking about drummers before this, so.
Yeah, I would love to put together a cool secret band, but I have a hunch.
We could call it the beating of the world.
There was like a 5-hour audio discussion in like a chat room on Discord last night, and we were talking for maybe like an hour about Drummond. That was a fun conversation. I mean, it was fun. It was really like, so there was like 6 people in there, and 5 of them were very much like, okay, let's just talk about some possibilities, and then one of them was a lot like, my opinion is the right one. So conversation got sidetracked quite a bit, but it was all right. We didn't come to a conclusion.
That's so
shocking.
Well, that's the thing about some of these puzzles, and I really do believe that a lot of stuff we talk about gets really overthought. And I watch it because I have 2 puzzles that every week I get several different people who send out these clues or their solutions for my puzzles, and they are so they're so out there sometimes that I'm just like, I couldn't even have remote. I'm not even that smart. And yeah. I don't know how those that mind works for some people, but man, oh man, it's pretty impressive. So I just think we got to be smarter and dumb these puzzles down a little bit, if that makes sense. learn being in Cleveland, it's between two countries. It's in a flower bed pot. It's all pretty simple if you really kind of think about it. So that's kind of where my direction is. I'll give you a bunch of options on a couple of different things, and I'll tell you what I think. And you guys can argue. Please speak up. Please debate. And I hope at the very least we have fun doing this. So if you guys are ready.
We're ready.
Okay. So this painting, I had the original book years ago. My mother threw it out, along with all of my Star Wars characters. So when I look back at this, and I got back into the puzzle just before Expedition Unknown, a few years back. I moved in St. Louis in 2008. So I started kind of going through some of the old stuff. I found the new version. And I just remembered this whole story, because when we were kids growing up back then, to be able to talk about Dungeons and Dragons or anything along those lines, those were all big to us. So we didn't have computers. We were trying to figure out internet back then. We didn't have it. We had encyclopedias. We had, cartoon books, Mad Magazine. I'm a huge Mad Magazine guy, which kind of comes into play with a lot of these puzzles as well. So this guy, I hate this effing guy. I look at him and he's just taunting me. So this is why I'm up at 3 a.m. dealing with stuff like that. So a lot of this stuff, the basic stuff, I just want to cover real quickly. The things we know, I do believe this is that Habitat 67 was the original seal on this golden square where the leg eater is. I know some people think differently, and I actually thought this was the Muni in St. Louis at one point, but I guarantee you that's what this is. Now, when they killed the seal and changed it to we'll call it the Guy Lafleur. See what I did? It's literally right in front of the Mount Stevens Club, and right next to the leg eater. And there's no doubt in my mind they thought this was the puzzle was so easy that they had to cover that seal up next to the leg eater. I guarantee you that's what the thought process was. Because remember, they thought these were going to be solved in a matter of a couple of years at the most. So it's kind of funny that that's there. With that said, and I think, George, you had mentioned this on a podcast, I will be the first in line if for somehow, some way, we are all in Montreal and we get to dig up behind that, in that fence, in that area. I don't think it's there, and I'll kind of explain why. But man, oh man, would I love to go to Montreal, hang out at that hotel. Maybe 2027. 2027 is not too far around the corner, but I would definitely go there. The beginning of the book is literally the dude sitting on the fence. We've all spelled different cities into this fence. I've spelled St. Louis, I've spelled Boston. Whatever your city is can probably be figured out in those letters. But the dude is literally standing where the leg eater is with the shovel. So I gotta believe that's the same guy, right? 100% that's the same guy. Look at the nose, look at the eyes. That's your clue that if it's not Montreal, I'm in shock. So we're back to
doesn't that say Boston in the hairline, George?
Yes.
Contraire mon frère. We will talk. And again, I think there's a lot of different. They talk,
and I would agree. I'm sorry to say, I would agree with you absolutely with the face looking like the face too. I'm just bringing that up as a.
No, and that's what I want to have these conversations. I think it'll be very helpful, and maybe at some point, if you don't like my ideas, something I show you today is going to pop up, and you're going to be like, "Oh, that makes sense." And so maybe
I never noticed that before. It definitely is like a pretty good match.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Oh, Yeah, I mean it. Again, I know that there were some points where people thought that some puzzles contain clues to other cities as well. I thought that for a long time with Cleveland with that tail. When JJP basically said, I can't talk about that now on one of the shows or one of the podcasts. And then when we asked him in Cleveland, he was like, I'll be honest, I don't remember. I believe him. I mean,
And
I
it is a JJP drawing too, so why not?
exactly. And I believe him when he says, I can't quite remember what that is. I'm not sure what I did that. These are so many years ago. And on top of all that, he's also telling you about misdirections and color changes and stuff like that he does remember. So, and JJP, again, I'm going to bust chops. He said the cities are correct. So, again, if you've got an idea in St. Louis, I love to help. I would love to be the guy to be proven wrong and find one here, but it ain't happening right now, I'll tell you. But with that said, back to this Mount Stevens. If we ever do a meetup in Montreal, I am there. I 100% assure you, and I will be the first one with a shovel getting arrested right in front of that club. So we kind of talked a little bit about, it's the October 10, the opal, the different checker patterns. We've all talked about all the basic stuff that we have talked about to verbatim to death. This guy right here, the very first prime minister, if this isn't supposed to be the painting of the guy from Montreal, I don't know how you don't see it. The bulbous nose, the wackadoo eyes, call me crazy, but this is the first prime minister of Canada, Mr. John Alexander MacDonald. If you think I'm wrong, it's fine, but this is the dude. Trust me. I'm hoping. I know I'm sharing my screen. I just want to make sure everybody can see all that.
Yep.
They can.
Yeah.
Minute.
Okay,
The hairstyle works. The hairstyle works too.
Do you
Yeah,
think
look
it's the combination of that and Rembrandt?
Yes, and I'll show you that in a second. Because and the reason why is very paramount to the puzzle. The fucking hands. Fucking hands. They're so wonky that at the end of the day, when we were doing the columns, and I thought there was some very great points in each of the paintings. There are the nicknames of the towns or the nicknames of the cities. Cleveland is Forest City, and I'm trying to remember a few of the other ones. Well, a lot of people don't know, but Montreal is considered Steeple City. And the reason for that is there's a church on I was almost going to curse about churches. There's a effing church on every single corner, just about. It is such a beautiful city. If you guys haven't gone, it is absolutely gorgeous. But I do believe that the whole purpose of him having the hands is the church and the steeple and the here come the people or whatever that whole thing is. That's supposed to represent that. And then the XLV, for me anyway, and I think for a couple others here, is definitely the 45, marking that latitude, longitude for 45. It's actually 45.5 as being one of the numbers. If you can't see it, it is XLV. So hopefully that helps people kind of dial some stuff in. We could go over hands verbatim. If you ever get a chance, Cole did a really cool discussion on hands, which is available on the website as well. Definitely go check that out because it's cool. And he's also pointing at the Golden Square Mile, as we'll talk about in a minute. But if there's any questions, just stop me because I will just ramble on. So this is definitely a connection to that Rembrandt painting. Dutch isn't necessarily the biggest Montreal thing, like as far as immigration classes that we all know about. But I think they did the immigration thing, but they weren't necessarily like pushing the immigration culture on to the specific cities. I'm just trying to think of examples. Each city does have that immigration class, but it's probably not the best immigration class for them. But this is 100% an homage to Rembrandt. Look at that freaking pimpin', what did you say, George? Drip hat?
Yes.
That's his drip right there. It is 100% Rembrandt. Back in the day, there was that big Montreal painting heist in that Rembrandt heist, and I think this has a lot to do with it, and they're trying to just get us to Montreal.
It helps that John said it was Rembrandt too.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this again. If you haven't watched John's Cleveland meetup and the discussion board and any of that, please do yourself a favor and do that. John gives away so much without giving away so much. So just please do that, you guys. If you're really serious about these puzzles, do the research. Google will only take you so far. I still don't know how you pulled all that together to the Cleveland deal, but we'll talk about that more. I am a Mad Magazine guy. I used to love folding the magazines, wearing 3D glasses, all those clues that they would do. And as you know, Sean Kelly was a Mad Magazine guy, and they had influence there. And back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, National Lampoon, Mad Magazine, that was how we got entertainment. There were only 3-4 channels on there. And the old running joke was we didn't even have remotes. Well, my dad had a remote. He would go, change the channel. That's the age I grew up in. So if you take a black light to some of these paintings, and I would go to FedEx and blow up the original 12 or the 12 treasures drawing, because I still think, George, those are the best. What you guys did there is just absolutely phenomenal. And so you can take a black light, and I'm hoping you guys can see this, but if you can't, take a black light to that painting, look it up. Some people, it says Peel. Some people think it's a Fay. Some people think it's something else, but I assure you, in my opinion, I should say, it's Peel.
Now, where do you see Peel? Can you spell it out?
Oh, can I do that?
It's P-E-E-L.
E-E-L. P, okay. Big head, E-E-L.
And
if you take, and maybe these pictures aren't like the greatest pictures in the world, but I guarantee you, if you go to FedEx and have them do like a 10 by 14 or something along those lines, you can blow this up enough. It starts pixelating out, but you can blow this up enough so that it does say Peel.
And Ken, you've seen the pictures of the actual painting?
Yes.
And you still, because I'm looking at that right now, and you feel like the original painting also looks like Peel there?
Correct.
Because it looks a little different.
Well, and I think if you take a black light to it, it'll blow it up a little bit for you. It'll make the different colors pop and different colors die down.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, and do your own research. I'm telling you, it does say Peel. But in my opinion, I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
I see a totally different word there, but
What do you see?
I can't. It's vulgar. You can't say it.
You see fuck too?
Yeah.
In Montreal, that's also for a certain price. You can get some of that too. But that's so funny. I do see the vulgar stuff, but this is a PG show, maybe.
It says fuck Peel.
At the top of his hair to the right, with the black light, there are some spires here. And I know maybe I should have drew a picture of it. But the very top right of the corner with a black light, I thought was a weird ass church. And there's a building in St. Louis that is 100% where I thought this was. And that's why I kind of, again, put it along. I'm hoping I should have drew it around it, but you'll see these points in a little while. But I tell you, with a black light, take a black
So
light.
what does a black light do exactly to the tones and pigments and stuff? Do you have
So
any idea?
back in the 70s and 80s, it gets you laid, first of all, with the proper music. No, the black light kind of changes and shifts.
But wasn't there a fluorescent paint that was used in those that
Yeah, but you don't have to use. Well, I mean it just won't, like, the UV paint makes it kind of shine and pop out, but the black light itself just sort of changes the way colors are seen if you're not using UV reactive paint.
That's a great point. So the black light I used for like just kind of going over and being able to see, it'll dull some colors and it'll bring out brighter colors. And people use that for like checking on bed bugs, or like criminologists use black lights for being able to see blood, or I was going to say semen stains that again, we're a kid show.
In this case, it's just like looking at it with a color filter.
Right.
Yeah.
So would it be
exactly.
the same with like 3D glasses?
Not on this part. With 3D glasses, you can. He does some weird stuff, and that's why I want people to start using the 3D glasses on their pictures, because there are a couple things that pop out with 3D glasses that I see, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we kind of go.
I would agree.
But it's pretty cool what they did. So the opal on the dude's head, on the hat, it's kind of pixelated out here, but I always thought that he was trying to show something in that opal. There is an image that has been dulled down, and I know it's a tiny surface, but I think the way he did this, and I'll show you as we go a little further, we'll kind of go from there. The opal is kind of a mirror, but it's a dull mirror. And I think, for those of you who don't know, this is supposed to be Mount Royal here on the left, or I'm sorry, on the right. But there's a face that is imprinted on here. This is the guy's nose. This is the guy's hair and head. There's an actual face on this mountain that comes into play. So I'm just
like
hoping,
Lincoln in San Francisco.
Correct.
Or Kennedy. Yeah.
Kind of that same thought process. I think a lot of these pictures do have the same type of clues. And if I remember correctly, John kind of said that, or at least Gift Giver said that. He said there were the same type of things going on in each painting, and if you just categorize them, you should be good. But again, this is a face here. I'm going to show you whose face it is down the road. So very cool. Just this puzzle, this picture haunts me in my dreams. Lane, Mr. Albert Lane, and we talked about this. Those guys talked about this on the original podcast. Sold bicycles in Montreal, and how cool is that logo, man? That's you got to think 1878, and the guy's smart enough to bring all of this to Montreal. He sold bicycles in Montreal. He had the first high wheels bike that he sold in Montreal. Started the Montreal Bike Club. The store was on Catherine near Peel. He started the Montreal Athletic Club, the MAAC, which still stands today, which is also located on Peel. Club Sportif, MMA, 2070 Peel Street. The logo with the wings. I think this is the beginning of the puzzle here, and I know you guys back in the day thought that as well. The reason I think that, and shout out to Mr. Mark Van Dam, who, by the way, has the coolest name in the history of names. if I was Mark Van Dam, I would say I was John Claude Van Damme's younger brother. And don't mess with me at the bar. I would kick your ass every chance I got. But Mark
Well,
Van
let's call him Mark Claude Van Damme then.
Mark Claude Van Damme, real nice guy, and I got to meet him in Cleveland. But his theory, and I think other people have said this as well, that the start and the finish is somewhere in the paintings, and that's where I get to Peel. I think Peel, this is the start of the puzzle, and we're on Peel Street at the beginning, 2070 Peel Street, the logo wheel, the 222. Oh, and to George's credit, because we had this conversation, we're using the correct verse, in my opinion. We're not using an alternate verse. So the 222 comes out in many different ways. I think at one point it was referenced that it was the 222 as the highway that surrounds Montreal. Back in the day, in the early 80s, there were arcades all over the place. One of them was the famous Amusement 222. They had the punk band 222, the 222s. There was also a gay and lesbian bar out of the PJ bar that is also on Peel Street. So if you're on Peel Street right now and you're using these as clues, you're going down east towards the water. If you are not, and in my humble opinion, as I was doing work on here, I actually found an old art gallery that was called, it was 2x3, and it was literally on the corner of, it was on Sherbrooke near Crescent. And it was short-lived, but it literally was there, and it looks like it was from like 79 to 83 or 80 to 83. I reached out to McGill University to see if they had any info on it. The other thing I will say is that if you guys ever come across a phone book from any generation of any city, you can throw those on eBay and they are worth like anywhere from 200 to 700 bucks. The crazy part is we all got our phone book that year and then we threw them out because why would we need the old phone book? We've got the new phone book. But there are libraries and stuff along those way where you can get that information. But so I wanted to show you on the left here, this is the Montreal Fine Arts Museum. On the corner here is where I'm talking about, 1350 Sherbrooke. And that is where the 2x3 boutique and art gallery was. I am trying to get an official phone number, but I think instead of going right towards the river, you're going up and around the corner towards the art museum. And so now we're on Crescent Street right here. Does everybody kind of get a feel for where we're at?
Yeah, I'm looking on the map now.
You guys are like, screw Montreal. What is this? But I promise you, and again, this is all my opinion, just in my humble opinion. So do your research, prove me wrong. I don't care. We're having fun doing the puzzle. You'll see an arc of lights. So you could either go east towards the water, or you could go and be on Sherbrooke, and you'll see the arc of lights. Some people think it's the big cross on Montreal. Some people, there are arcs of light on Crescent Street, because Crescent Street at night in the 80s was just blown up, absolutely blown up. It was party central. Some people think the word crescent means arch, but it's not arch. And George and those guys pointed that out. It's arc of light. So this is the, some people, as they're going down Peel, going towards the water, some people thought it was like Queen of World Cathedral or Notre Dame Basilica of Montreal, the Jacques Cartier Bridge. I know I'm butchering the hell out of that. But that whole strip from Crescent all the way down to Catherine and up was full of arcades, was full of different stuff. But any Montrealer who is worth their wares knows about the arcade restaurant. The arcade restaurant was located on Catherine. So even if whatever direction you're going in, and you're getting to if you're walking down Crescent, if you're walking down the other way, you would still see the arcade restaurant. So it could have been an arcade, but I tend to believe more towards the arcade restaurant. It was a great diner back in the day. Closed down, broke my heart, but at the same time, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And again, I'm just going to keep going unless somebody wants to argue or ask a question and go from there. So far, so good.
So what's the street you're traveling down though?
So
Because you switched.
me personally, I'm on Crescent going down towards Catherine.
But we started on
Peel.
And then where did you switch from Peel to?
So you're going Peel. Some people go east. I went west to Sherbrooke.
Okay.
And Sherbrooke.
Right, sorry. I thought you were moving down to the water. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. It's a little confusing because I wanted to make sure that people understood no matter what your crescent is and no matter what your arc of lights is, for me, it puts you on Catherine where the old arcade restaurant was.
Do you have that address, Ken?
You know, I did, and I thought I wrote that down. I'll tell you, look at this. You guys are going to go get deep into Cooley stuff. If only I could spell. Oh, I know I had it. I apologize. On St. Catherine, yeah, so it's on St. Catherine, but it's in between the
1188.
There it is. Okay, so it's a little north.
Oh yeah.
It says operating like 1982 to 86-ish.
Yes. So the other thing that I can't find it, but 1188 Catherine. And so a lot of people, and I even heard at one point, there we go. I heard at one point JM was talking about, he actually had a picture of an arcade that had the ADE that was missing, and it was just a picture of an arc. So that whole strip, Catherine Street, Crescent Street, were all full of arcades at the time. So any questions?
So it looks like it was like right close to Drummond.
Yes, and that's exactly where we're at right now.
I just said it was 1188 St. Catherine.
Yes. Isn't that what I wrote?
In between Stanley and Drummond, I think.
Yes. I should have brought up a map quest.
Maybe is that a East Catherine, Rue St. Catherine?
Yeah, so the Catherine streets are there's east, there's west, there's a lot of stuff all over the place. But it's if you look at Drummond and kind of go out of Drummond and get to Catherine that way, you'll see kind of on that corner. You can see it. You could, in my opinion, you could see that sign from either. But again, that's just what I found. I do believe that we're walking down Crescent to get to Catherine and going north. If that makes sense. You guys ready?
Ready.
Okay, so I'm trying to be patient and polite here. Weights and roots extended together saved the site. Back in the day, when they were making the metro, unlike a lot of the weird kind of metros, or we would dig tunnels. But back in the day, what they would do is they would dig all the way down to kind of build these metro links. There is actually the green line that was built underneath, going from Guy Concordia all the way to Peel. And at one point, they were digging up on Drummond, they were digging up on Peel, they were digging up all of this stuff in the area. And in my opinion, because of the Japanese clues, weights and roots extended together. When I think of roots, I'm thinking of, and if I'm thinking of construction, I'm thinking of them building all the way down. And I think that's what this line is just trying to say. It's weights and roots extended, and in Japanese, think of construction. Montreal back in 1979 was really a green city. And so they would dig these trenches and dig these giant places out for Montreal. But in my opinion, I think that's what it means. They saved the site, and they basically saved the green area for that. I know that, that it says construction. There was like Sherbrooke, Crescent, Drummond. They all had construction at the time between 79, 80, 81. And so I think that's what this is referring to. I think we overthink this line a lot, but I just think that like the metro's underground here, and then they built it back up and made it a green city. Now, the funny part is these two pictures are the same exact spot. And this is what Montreal looks like now. And as you're kind of aware, and I'll go back one, as I was saying, Guy Concordia is south of Drummond, Peel is north of Drummond, and Drummond was right in the middle. So there was some digging that happened there. Any Montrealer want to correct me, please feel free. I just felt that like when I was doing the research for this, that's what they were referring to, was digging the metro. So now we're at the arcade. We're walking down to Drummond Street, the Hotel Chez, or Chez, I should say. That shows you my French. The big thing about the Hotel Chez is that the X's are right there, right? It is literally the building that is right next to the Mount Stevens Club. And the Mount Stevens Club, you guys may have heard of, is pretty famous for us knucklehead researchers. This is where our famous leg eater is over here. This is the fence and the post we talked about earlier. So right now we're walking down Drummond, and for us, again, I'm going to say this one more time and then I'll let it go. If we ever get a chance to dig that out, I'm going to be the first in line with it, digging that thing out, because we're either going to find it there or we're going to figure out that it's not there and we needed to move on. But either way, I love this area. And if you ever get a chance to go, please do. Oh, back one. Oh, sorry. So again, we'll just talk about it. The leg eater's right there. The fence is right there. It's all right there. It's all in the painting. We're in Montreal 100%. Of granite walls, we talked about this earlier. I think I saw a post recently by Alan as well. Mitchell and Holland on Drummond, across from the YCA. This is a plaque. It's granite plaque with the word walls on it. If you don't get 1 for 1 here on this particular clue, I don't think how you can argue that. I just don't see it. It's a 1 for 1 clue for me, in my opinion. I'm going to say in my opinion a lot, but I did talk to JJP and he said I was right 100%. So I hope you guys understand. No, again,
glad we got that straight.
Yeah, as long as you guys understand, I'm correct. We're good to go. So windswept halls, citadel in the night, Gilbert Parker, you evil fucking genius. So before I talk about the Salvation Army, I actually did a little more research. So if you're walking around and you're in Montreal, there is across from the McDonald's statue off of Peel or on Peel. This is the crazy, what is it called? The Windsor Ballroom. So as a puzzle maker, I hear Windsor Ballroom. It reminds me of windswept halls. You know, I don't think that's correct, but if that works for your opinion, then God bless you. Please move along. But I do believe that if I was doing a puzzle and I wanted to put windswept halls, I would put that as the Windsor Ballroom. So if that works for your solve, cool, take it. Just if you find the Casco, and I want to thank that Ken Cooley guy, that would be awesome. But as we all know, the Salvation Army on Drummond was known as the Citadel. It was very popular. The Salvation Army, it's located at, the Citadel's located at 2085 Drummond Street. You're going past the Leg Eater, past the plaque, the Walls plaque, and it's 205 Drummond Street. Also another reference to the Gilbert Parker poem. So Gilbert Parker was a poet. He would write these crazy long poems, but he was famous for writing stuff about Montreal. So it's another literary thing that gets you to Montreal, but it also talks about the Citadel. Well, the Citadel, we're like, well, what does it have to do with the night? The Citadel at night was part of that poem. So just keep that in mind. Windswept halls, all that good stuff. So we're on Drummond still. A wingless bird ascended, born of ancient dreams of flight. Gilbert Parker, you suck. You are you're an evil genius. But this whole wingless bird ascended thing I always felt like the Japanese clue was think of it in terms of an iron horse, right? So, and it was readily available. Like in any city, you could see one of these. Well, in my opinion, I went a little ahead. In my opinion, I felt like we are looking at a helicopter. And the reason I'm feeling like I'm looking at a helicopter, I'll tell you in a little bit, because he couldn't say what the actual meaning of this was. He couldn't say it was, it's a helicopter, but the wingless bird is also a reference to a Gilbert Parker poem. And if I hope that helps you guys a little bit. It gets you into Montreal. The wingless bird ascended. We'll talk about that towards the end, but it's definitely another Gilbert Parker reference. Here is the big one. Cabot or Abbott? Byron, JJP, any of these guys, none of them could spell. So we talked about the acrostic, in the poem itself. Citadel at night, a wingless bird ascended, born of ancient dreams, beneath the only standing member of a forest to the south. And then I threw in the rest of that, white stone closest at 12 paces from the west, da-da-da-da-da. In my opinion, the way this poem reads, the beneath the only standing member of a forest, to me, always felt like a statue. So what I did was I kind of backtracked all the statues that I thought were in the area. And I thought there's a St. Louis statue that's on the other side of Montreal. There's a Justice statue that's outside of the courthouse in Montreal. There are a bunch of different statues. But I also looked at 1980s drawings to see, did these statues have white stones near them? What the hell is 12 paces? Nobody actually knows. Well, when I Googled 12 paces, it says, and I apologize to our Canadian friends because us Americans only know, metric schmetric. It's 12 paces equals 25 to 30 feet. So we're looking for a white stone from the west side for 25 to 30-ish paces to the side of the whatever statue, in my opinion, we're looking for. So Cabot Square, again, Cabot was one of the things that got spelled out. Cabot Square, you kind of look at it and you think, in my opinion, again, this would have been a cool landing spot, but there's really not a forest there, and there's really not like a general white stone 25 to 30 feet to the side of it. It's all tile. It is not, in my opinion, it doesn't fit, right? So I don't like Cabot. And I'll kind of explain why in just a sec. I like Abbott. Maud Elizabeth Seymour Abbott was a physician, a medical researcher. She was huge in heart and healthcare work. She was among the first women in Canada to earn a medical degree. And she forced McGill to accept her eventually. She kept applying. McGill was a male-only college. She was just absolutely amazing. She is celebrated now on Canadian stamps. And I do believe that we're trying to, the acrostic is for Abbott. So get rid of the C. I'm trying to, I literally just put my thumb over the C like you guys could see that. Unbelievable. I think it's Abbott. So where we were, right? We're at the Citadel. The wingless bird. The Japanese clue is a helicopter. It's a helicopter. Let's hypothetically say I'm at the Citadel and I get hit by a bus. I don't know why I always use me getting hit on a bus as an example, but it's just funny to me. Heaven forbid, if I ever die and get hit by a bus, I hope you guys chuckle. Just remember, I'm a jackass. I am at Drummond. I'm at the Salvation Army. Hypothetically, I get hit by a bus. What's going to happen? They're going to come down. They're going to put me in a helicopter, and they're going to take me to the hospital. This is where is it? The Crown Victoria, or the Royal Victorian Hospital. It is it's just, the hill is right behind it. And it is literally, it's a beautiful facility. This 1980, 1981, this was still very well thriving. That's
McGill University, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up near McGill University. Absolutely. And this is the one that where the heck is it here? This is the one that most people would end up going to. This was also a teaching hospital at the time, but it is literally in between the Mount Royal. McGill University is surrounded all by it. And if you go across the street is the Maud Abbott Medical Museum. She collected all the different oddities from all of the years of health, and they had a big fire, and her famous thing was she kept going into the fire to get all of these medical oddities out. So they named a museum after her. If you look up the Maud Abbott Medical Museum, you will see that. You will see across the street is the hospital. It's actually being converted now, and I forget the name of what.
There's a bunch of construction there when we were there.
Yeah, so that is now being turned into like apartments, mall, communal living type thing, I guess. But if you're from Montreal, you can kind of fill us in a little more on what that's going to be. It's like, and I'm trying to remember the name, but this is where I think we're at in 1980, 1981. So I think you're looking for Abbott. I think you're at the hospital just below Mount Royal. And I do believe that that's where he's pointing you towards. He couldn't tell them, hey, that's a literary, he couldn't tell the Japanese, hey, that's a literary reference that's going towards Mount Royal. That is a wingless bird. It's like an iron horse, da, 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 da. He couldn't be so, if he had said think more poetry as opposed to think Iron Horse. I think at that time he thought he'd be giving away too much. But again, that's my opinion. I think it's Abbott instead of Cabot, and the reason why this is what we were kind of talking about with the black light. Yep.
Kind of question: Why is the helicopter part of this? I missed that.
Because you got to take a helicopter to get to Mount Royal. Oh, I know you guys are like, "What? He's crazy," but I think in my opinion, it's a theoretical helicopter. He couldn't say it's a Gilbert Parker reference. He had to use it as literal. And if you're on, well, let's go back here. If you're on, over at the Citadel, you can look straight up that hill and you're looking at Mount Royal. So I think it's a theoretical helicopter. I don't take your mind out of I'm actually getting in a helicopter and I'm flying over there.
Okay, it's just a Gilbert.
It's a Gilbert reference. Yes. And again, that's my opinion. But that's what I think. I think he couldn't say it's a helicopter. He couldn't say it was a Gilbert reference. He used it as literal to the Japanese. A little bit of a stretch, maybe, but in my opinion, that's what I'm thinking. So,
and how do we know where we're going in the helicopter?
We're going to the hospital because technically,
how do you know we're going to a hospital?
Because when you get hurt and you get hit by a bus, you're going to your hospital.
But why are we getting hit by a bus?
I'm getting hit by a bus.
I'm lost.
Oh, I'm sorry. So don't think in terms of he had to get you to Mount Royal, but however he got you to Mount Royal, disregard the helicopter as being an actual helicopter. It's a reference to Gilbert again.
I'm struggling with, we're at part of the verse and we're standing in front of this granite cornerstone. And we're like, granite walls. As granite walls. It says it right here. And then right behind us is the leg eater. And those are pretty, granite walls. This says it's walls and granite. And then like 2 lines later, we're like, okay, it's not a helicopter. First, you got to get hit by a bus. Then you got to understand that it's a helicopter to take you to a hospital, which is actually just a reference to this other guy.
I will explain that in 5 minutes if you guys are patient.
Okay.
No pressure. But again, with the spires and everything, if you use the black light, I think that's a reference to these spires in Montreal to this hospital. That same hospital has this pattern all over
now
it.
We're talking.
Which is what I think this is right here. To the south, and I'm on the left of the picture. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. This is all McGill student housing. And if you blow it up, it's all the checker pattern. And I think that's what this is the checker pattern on Mount Royal here. Could be a stretch, but again, I think he wants us to go to Mount Royal or that area for some reason.
But the darker squares there are stacked on top of each other. They're not corner to corner like a checkerboard.
Understood, but I think that's more reference to here.
Oh, okay.
If we're looking at this hat. I think he just did this. Some people think this is actually the racetrack. I still don't think so. I think this is Montreal. We talked about this temple, the thing on the left. If you blacklight it, I think it's in reference to that hospital and Mount Royal. Beneath the only standing member of a forest, to the south, white stone closest at 12 paces from the west side, get permission to dig out. One option I thought would have been the Miguel statue. It was removed a few years back, but if you look at the McGill University over at Rue University Street and Miguel, to the right of where we are, this statue was here. And not necessarily 25 paces, but they had this white stone here that was to the west or to the left of it. And I think I thought this could be it, but the more I thought about it, the paces were kind of off. And to me, it just didn't fit. It would be good here if you had to ask for permission to dig out. But again, I'm not 100% sold on the McGill statue. Here's where you take your 3D glasses and you can see a couple of things. And I assure you, if you use your red lens, there is a dragon over here, which we are still working on, a weird face, and this is the left side of the head. A dragon then pops out. Now, there were a couple of references to dragons in Montreal at the time. Is everybody okay over there?
Somebody died. What was that?
They were like, dragon, and he died. So if a dragon helps you for your quest, the research I looked at, apparently in the Montreal Forum, Queen played a bunch of times from 79, 80, 81, and 82. And they made sure during that long tour span, they were huge in Montreal, and all along the Forum and all along Montreal, apparently there were posters of Queen had a big hit that was Red Dragon. And I think along those lines, they that could be it. That could just be a reference to Chinatown in Montreal. But with the 3D glasses and using the red lens, you can see that much better. Using the 3D glasses on your Montreal painting, the word justice pops out at you. I encourage you all to go check this out. This is definitely something that, JJP worked with colors. This is something they would have done with Mad Magazine. Again, take your 3D glasses, hold the left eye, get rid of the blue, and the word justice just pops right out at you. I'm not crazy. Well, I'm crazy, but definitely if you get a chance to go do that, get your 3D glasses out. I think we're at the statue at Montreal, the Georges Etienne Cartier Monument. This is actually one of the killer landmarks in Montreal. It is a scenario where, and I'm going to step out of here for a minute. That particular statue is huge. It is at the top of Mount Royal. It is every bit, I'm hoping you guys can see that, or we'll do that. It is every bit behind the hospital we were at, behind the student housing we were at, and on top of the hill, Sir Georges Etienne Cartier. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize to our Canadian friends.
Apology accepted.
Thank you, sir. The monument is topped by the goddess Fame, and I'm not even going to butcher that last name. Inaugurated in September 6th. He is considered one of the godfathers of Canada. And on the north side of the monument, on the north side here, and I'm going to blow this up. On the north side of the monument is a woman, a young girl to her right, and a young boy to her left is shown. The woman's holding a sword in her hand. And in Montreal, that symbolizes Lady Justice. And the boy is holding bonded wrists and begging in a manner, and as the girl reads a book. And the scene represents justice and legislation. And so I brought this up. So this is the actual picture, and it is part of that statue. And I think this is the justice that we're talking about here, because George was a big proponent of justice, legislation. He worked tirelessly with McDonald to bring the country together, and they honored him as one of the godfathers of Montreal. So that's where that kind of comes from. I think that's along the lines of where we're at with that. I'm almost done, I swear. Oh, where's that there? So at 12 paces from the west side, a wingless bird ascended. On the original plaque is it's a French version and an English version. And on the original plaque, it actually said the citizens of Montreal testified their allegiance to His Majesty George VI, the first sovereign in whole ascension and coronation in compliance. But the big word here is ascension. And I have been trying to get a very good picture of the top of this plaque, but it looks like, to me, a wingless bird. Please, somebody in Montreal, correct me if I'm wrong, but the original plaque, if you blow it up, still to me looks like it's a bird, but obviously it's stuck in a plaque and it's not going anywhere. Now, this could be a creation, but I do believe the word ascension, that's part of why he used that as the quote for a ascended bird, or a wingless bird ascended. I think it's here. So, shoot me. I still think we're up at that statue. This is actually 25 paces to the left of the statue. This was the original plaque that was there in 1980, 1981. George was a pointy-nosed son of a bee. And if you look at that statue, he's got a big pointy nose. I think if you tilt that statue a little bit, I think that this is the face that we're looking for, is George up on Mount Royal. I think that is Johann, when he was looking in St. Louis, was at the Beethoven statue. Beethoven statue actually has another point like that, but I do believe we're looking at this pointy-nosed son of a biscuit. So along those lines, if you can't see the face, just, draw that out. But I think we're looking for that guy. The reflection in the opal, I think, again, these are all my opinions. I think you're looking at that opal, you're looking at this famous picture at the bottom of the hill, and it's the same colors, just blurred out, of Mount Royal. And JJP is an evil genius, or he just hit a brush stroke and he tripped and he put some green there. I don't know.
He got hit by a bus.
Exactly. He got hit by a bus and his arm hurt and he painted the thing like that. But I do believe this is the Royal Victoria Hospital. I think that's the clue. Now I'll finish off with this. Some of this stuff is just stuff I found, and if it helps you guys out along the way, there was a very famous picture of Mark Twain that David Cole actually found, where Mark Twain was smart enough to mirror his name in a belt, so at 16 years old, so that when they took the picture back then, it would say Sam on it correctly. So I mirrored a couple of things. If you look at the Peel sign, but you mirror it, it almost looks like, to me, I thought it was the Acropolis in St. Louis, where there is a dude holding a cross, where this is the head, and they're pointing out, and this is the cross. But if you look at this objectively, I think we're back to this person. Oh, sorry, one too many. I think we're looking at somebody holding their hand out, and I think it's probably either this one or this one. Just my opinion on that. I'm the guy who asked JJP if this was Missouri, and he kind of chuckled at me. He looked at me smiling, like, because I asked him, I said, do you have Missouri there for like what did he call it? It was Liberty Street, so that people would go to Philadelphia or people would go to Missouri. And if you look at him, he's smiling, and then he does the Steve Urkel, did I do that? And it just makes me laugh. But 2 blocks north of this statue that we're talking about is St. Louis Square. So I think in terms of this could be a possibility, it could not be a possibility, but definitely this collar is the reason why I was in St. Louis. And again, with those 3D glasses, you're getting a dragon. If this helps your theory out, that's cool. If not, God bless you. But again, I think we're on top of Mount Royal. We're to the left, 25 paces west, and we are looking at that old plaque. And you're going to need permission to dig that out now from Montreal Parks and Recs or whomever. Again, you got to get permission. It's the only puzzle or the only task that you need permission to dig out back in 1981. Opera Man, bye-bye. Sorry, I just wanted to add that. Any questions?
Bravo.
Bravo. And that's where I throw a little bit, because Italian is huge in Montreal too. So I do believe that like they were just taking some immigrant groups and were like, how do we make this Montreal? How do we make this Chicago? And so for me, Italy would have worked here beautifully. French would have worked here beautifully. But I think
I had some good pizza in Montreal.
Oh,
FYI.
We used to go to the hockey games at the New Forum, and there used to be a restaurant called Le Cocheval, and they would come out and they would present you with steaks, and they would be like, "Oh, Mr. Cooley, which one would you like?" Oh, and I was like just in heaven. I weighed 280 at the time, and it was just absolutely beautiful, and it was good to be American back then. But now, as many of us attest, I don't have universal health care, and I don't have 6%ers. I don't have Bob and Doug McKenzie. I've always loved Canada and hockey, but it's just very cold there. And long story short, I've been to Montreal a million times. I wanted to keep this presentation simple. I apologize if the helicopter throws you off, but I think we're talking about using, he said helicopter to the Japanese people, but I think Wingless Bird Ascended is trying to get you to Montreal and look at that.
Do you have the quote? Do you have the poem or the quote from Gilbert?
Yeah, well, it's on Google, and I'll share my screen. Wingless Bird. Hold on. Gilbert Parker. PMO.
One more flight of
The
a wingless
bridge.
bird, a ceaseless falling, a countless groan, a waft of a leaf, and the fall of a stone.
Yeah, so it's pretty blatant. And it's a very famous poem. I guess they teach this in school there. I'm trying to bring it up. Maybe I should say, do you have it? I'll stop sharing. But it is from The Bridge of 100 Spans. And it is Wingless Bird Ascended. One more, here it is.
One more hap in a hapless world, one more wreck where the tide is swirled, one more heap in a waste of sand, one more clasp of a palsied hand, one more cry to a soundless word, one more flight of a wingless bird, the ceaseless falling, the countless groan, the waft of a leaf, and the fall of a stone, ever the cry that a hand will save, ever the end in a fast closed grave, ever never the useless bird.
I will not lie. I listen to books on tape all the time. You have a wonderful voice.
Thank you very much.
So the only thing that I found that really, I would have loved it to be that McGill statue, but I've looked at the Justice statue at the courthouse. I've looked at Cabot. In my opinion, the only standing member of a forest has to be a statue. I would love to
be a tree. Couldn't it be a tree?
It doesn't fit for me anyway. It could be just a plain tree.
So your final spot, is it around the Cartier.
Yes, it is
Monument.
on top.
So those-
on top
those-
of the statues. I'm sorry, I'm still sharing. so we're
Above?
going up here.
Above the statues?
No, so let me do this instead.
I have a
Now bear with me just a sec.
Google Earth open if you want.
Yeah, so actually, that's kind of a better idea here.
I gotta go back to here.
Google Earth. George, disregard all of the Anderson searches up here.
Okay.
So this is wonderful Mount Royal.
We can only see your
Adam Sandler.
yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Hold on. Maybe it hit stop sharing. Let me get back there. How can you only see Adam Sandler? That's there we go.
He has
I
a
got
nice face.
Oh. I gotta spin this around. Oh. So this is north. I'm gonna blow this up, and so that I show everybody here. So this is the front or the north end of Mount Royal, just to kind of give you a feel for where we're at here. Let me do this. Maud Abbott. Oh, I got my cat trying to make a guest appearance here. This is the Maud Abbott Museum. This is the Victorian Hospital here, and I can go into different detail here. But yeah, now it's like Les Nouveaux Vic, because it used to be the Victorian Hospital. Right across over here. Oh, I'm sorry. Is McGill University. And the student housing that we talked about right behind the hospital is here. And then as you're going up the hill is the statue right behind it. This is the statue here. You're on top of the hill. This is the north face of the statue. And if we get our little dude here, both sides have plaques. We're going to put our little dude on the left side just so that you can see it. And here's a plaque. And so I think it's your cask is buried somewhere in this area here. And the different plaques have been updated. But I do believe to the west is this one here.
That's exactly my spot when I first started doing Montreal.
So where are you now? Because see, the new plaque actually says X on it, and X marks the spot.
Well, I was more into like shadows and the way the shadow of the statue came down over that stone.
Ah. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with this puzzle. And this is the wonderful back end. But there are plaques on both sides. So if you go, I don't want to make anybody sick, but there are plaques on both sides of it. But that kind of helps. If that kind of helps somebody, that's where I'm at right now. Again, there's got to be a reason they blew up and put the leg eater in there. It is definitely a marker you got to walk by to get to. And if your only thought process is get the helicopter out of your head, the helicopter, in my opinion, is a reference to Gilbert Parker. But also, if you're standing at the Citadel, if you've ever had the chance and you look straight up that road, you can 100% see Mount Royal. So I think he's just trying to get you to Mount Royal.
Is there a Gilbert Parker statue?
Not that I could find, but that is an awesome question. But I think Gilbert Parker was one of those guys. Here, I'm going to stop sharing.
I mean, it's obviously the quote, and he's got the ties to Montreal, correct?
Correct.
So what's the rationale? I mean, aside from what else could that be?
Well, I think along the lines, he's just using the literary because he was such a Montreal guy. That's another literary quote to just get you to Montreal. Okay. I think we overthink that. I think it's kind of like, what's the other, I'm trying to think.
So tying Twain to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Or Herman to Houston.
Yeah.
Or Melville to Houston. Because of Herman Park.
So yeah, I hope that kind of helps. I know it's not 100% great, but I'm going there and I'm going to call the mayor of Montreal and see if I can go dig up there, if that's okay. We're like this. So cool. that's what I got. I got the regular verse. I've got the images with the 3D glasses. I've got a start and a finish, which is Peel and the Justice statue. And I do believe that's where he's trying to get us is Mount Royal. Now you guys can blow me up.
I like the arcade and the Arc of Light being like a street sign or something on the street to see, as opposed to actual Arc of Lights.
Well, some people do believe that it's Crescent Street in itself. But I do have a hard time with that. I mean, it's not a bad.
Is there a square? Is there a square with those streets? You got Peel and Catherine.
That's all in the Golden Square.
Is there another? Well, what's the fourth part of the square? You got Drummond, Peel, Catherine, and
it got bigger because as the city grew, they actually.
No, I'm saying from in your solve, you have you started out on Peel and then you went down Catherine and then you went.
Oh, so my solve goes from Peel to Sherbrooke.
Did Sherbrooke run parallel to Peel?
No, it's you're going towards Mount Royal on Peel. You take your first left, and that is Sherbrooke, and that is the same road that has the Montreal Art Museum. Am I still sharing?
Right.
No. Okay.
No, that's fine.
I have the so I'm on Peel. I go straight left. I take a left on Sherbrooke, and I'm going straight down to the Art Museum. That 222 or 2x3 boutique is on the corner there. It is directly across from the Montreal Art Museum where the famous painting was stolen. And it takes you, then you're on Crescent Street going to Catherine. You're coming up Catherine and going to Drummond. So that's my square, but the actual Golden Square is bigger.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it could be just that square within a square.
The square beyond compare.
Wow.
Okay, I'm a big advertising nerd. I'm sorry. Isn't that Little Caesars?
You're just a square.
I'm a big nerd. But I wanted to share my thoughts on Montreal. I've been in St. Louis for so long looking for this cask that I saw weird stuff and different things that I know people didn't look at. So I want to encourage everybody to go take out your 3D glasses, to use a black light, because JJP admitted he did some color stuff, Oh, he's got the red. So go to
all in.
Oh, he's in. He's in.
I got the blues too.
I didn't know they sold them just the reds and the blues. That's kind of nice.
You buy two and then you cut them in and you do a little tape job on it.
Oh, see, ingenuity, sir. Ingenuity. So I'm hoping that my solve or a couple of my clues might help somebody actually get to it. My whole thing is you have to have permission to dig out. Those were the only real two places that at that time I felt you would need to get permission to dig out. And Cabot does not work for me. I am nowhere near the racetrack. I know I'm not near Olympic Stadium and what is the bulb, oh my goodness, the Biodome or whatever the heck it is. We have one in St. Louis too, which was also a big deal. The geocentric dome. And
Geodesic.
there you go. We are nowhere near that. And I know that a lot of people are going to think I'm wrong, and I get it. It's a puzzle. We all have our opinions. I'm very happy for your solve. I just don't, I'm not feeling it. I just don't feel like we're over there. I feel like we're at Mount Royale. So for now, next year I'll come back and I'll tell you how completely wrong I am, and I'll get hit by a bus and I'll take my helicopter and I'll go somewhere else. So I hope that.
I'll take my wingless bird and see you fucks later.
Exactly. So I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway.
Thank you.
You know, I believe that the puzzles are correct. I believe that the paintings are correct, the cities are correct, and in my heart I believe that the each verse is correct as well. If you look at the verses tell you whether it's a literary or whatever, they are 100% correct on the cities. And no offense to anybody who is an alternate city person. I lived in St. Louis. I got my cats driving me nuts over here. I lived in St. Louis. We moved here in 2008. I started looking at about 12, 13, 14. I really started getting into treasure hunts in St. Louis, and this popped up. So I 100% tried to make this work for St. Louis and have heard theory upon theory upon theory. It just doesn't add up for me. I've done everything. I've even dug illegally. I shouldn't. Never mind. I didn't dig illegally. It was my friend who dug illegally at a couple of the famous parks. And shame on him, I'll tell you. But I love Montreal. Montreal has always been in my heart, even though they beat my Hartford Whalers twice. Montreal is a beautiful city, and if you ever get a chance to go there, do yourself a favor and go.
Definitely.
So, I know, George, you're heading out in the next week or so for a big event.
Yeah.
You have 2 minutes to tell us about that?
I have to go to Tucson for the Seekers Summit. That's this coming Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I guess.
You better get healthy and get some
What
sleep.
happens there? What happens at the Seekers?
You know, I'm not 100% sure. I was invited by Jenny Kyle of Mysterious Writings, and I think this is it's like a convention. It seems like more for like Forrest Fenn, but on the map's edge, there's treasure inside, guys. 'Cause I think Justin Posey's going to be there taking questions, and the dude who did I don't know, some other treasure at Trenzer's Quest or something, he's going to be there taking questions.
But it's just on the Secret.
No, they're doing their own thing. I don't even think the Secret's really featured. I think I was just kind of invited to represent a treasure hunt.
Do you get to talk?
I think so. I think I'm on a panel. I mean, I know I'm on a panel. I just don't know how much I'll get to talk. And then again, like, it's not geared towards secret people, so I don't know how many secret questions there'll be. I don't even know if they're doing a Q&A. But the guys that did Golden Greed, that Netflix series, they're going to be there filming for something or other. And,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel like the interest in the Secret is waning?
It comes and goes, right?
That the community as a whole in the last, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think interest isn't waning as much as people are giving up. People come in and they're like, "Oh, all my ideas are great, and I'm super smart, and I'm going to solve these." And then, like 5 years later, they haven't done a thing and convinced a person.
I mean, outside of the Facebook group and You seem to be tuned into more of the community outside of the Facebook group too.
No, it's not. It's not waning outside of the groups. There's still a lot of talk.
Do you think it's gaining in popularity, or
in terms of treasure hunts? Yeah, I mean, I Secret's never really at the top, number one of current treasure hunts, but it's always in the top 3 or 4. So, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I'm just curious. You've been in it for a long time, and just to kind of maybe see the trends. I mean, obviously the Facebook group is one thing, but outside in terms of general popularity and
I mean, the
people's perception of it.
Facebook group is a pretty accurate description of the secret community as a whole. Just because there's so many different people in it. And I mean, I still think it's accurate to say people come into this hunt brand new, all gung-ho, thinking they're going to prove everybody wrong and that their ideas are golden and everybody's going to believe them and they think they're going to be, hot shit. And they start posting, and 5 years later, nobody's bought into any of their ideas and they haven't found any casks, so they go quiet. It's just kind of the way it goes. And they stick around. They just don't post as much. So the activity comes in waves, but I think the popularity stays. It stays pretty popular.
Well, and as you guys, we kind of talked about it. A lot of when I was first starting, a lot of the websites towards The Secret had, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't want to badmouth one of the specific ones, but they've had a solve on there for Montreal that has been on there since probably 2012, if not a little longer. And it's the same exact thing. There's no new information on it.
I mean, aren't all of the solves on the wiki just shit from 2012? Don't they still think Boston is fake?
Yeah. But I think what you do is you allow people to kind of grow their ideas. And hey, we're not gonna say you're 100% wrong. But at the same time, we want to hear some ideas, and we want to, I think what you do is allow it to kind of grow into whatever monster it's going to grow into. Sometimes you catch a lot of unwarranted shit for it. But at the same time, George is not the keeper of the well. George is just this, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. You're just a master information guy. And you bring everything together and allow everybody to kind of work together. And that's what I think why I appreciate you so much, is that you allow people to kind of, hey, you've got a crazy idea, let's talk about it. And maybe that'll work with somebody else. But like those other websites are now all dead ass. And even the dead ass groups on Facebook that I was on haven't had anything new since 2012, 2013. And so I appreciate what you do, bud.
I appreciate it. I mean, judging from metrics on various websites and podcasts and all of that shit, we're growing. Like the metrics for websites keep going up and up and up and up. They don't really go down.
Yeah, so. That's what I was curious at, if it's actually growing or whether it's kind of waning and peaking, or.
No, it always goes up. Sometimes it doesn't go up much. It always goes up.
Well, and I think anytime they show that Expedition Unknown, I'm sure we're going to get a couple extras every time it comes on.
They still show those?
Oh, God. They do marathons. If you're on the different networks and you find one of those episodes, you can watch them every week. I think George has them linked. You can watch them anytime.
Oh, sure.
I have Roku. I'm just waiting for my Expedition Unknown channel, because everything else has a freaking channel on it.
True. One day, you guys know I'm retiring. When one day you log into 12 Treasures and it's just Google ads. It's dude, we put AdSense on 12 Treasures. It would be nice.
I tell everybody when I retire, I'm going to have a Mexican mariachi band follow me through my work as I pack up all my shit. And actually, I'm going to hire them to help me with it. And they'll just be, Cooley's gone. I'm leaving.
So I do have some cool news. On the 1st, I'm supposed to watch the first 10 minutes of the documentary.
Get out of town.
Nice.
Oh, lucky you.
Wow.
Yeah. So
1st of April?
Yeah. So
April 12th?
April 1st.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, George. Sure you are.
So I found out, I talked to her and I found out what was taking so long. She was waiting for 2 interviews that were just taking forever to schedule. And she got 1 scheduled, so I think she's still gonna do like the doc. From what she said, the documentary is basically finished, editing, coloring, everything. She was just waiting for 2 interviews, and she was gonna pop those interviews kind of in where they needed to be. And she's got 1 of them, so she's gonna film that, pop it in, and then it's basically done.
Picture lock.
Picture lock.
Picture lock. That's when it's done. Picture lock.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I get to watch the first 10 minutes or something.
Should
We're
have
gonna need a
screening.
full
So I'll tell you if it
10-minute
sucks.
screening for on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'll actually see if I can do that. Yeah.
You do one of those
Yeah, why not?
sketchy recordings with your phone and post it on YouTube as the.
Or it's just like a trailer. She probably has a trailer.
I'm sure she has a trailer by now.
You know how just like at Comic-Con or whatever, I love that idea of you having a phone and just being like,
sitting in the Zoom meeting. Christina's like, "What are you doing, George?" Nothing. I'm doing nothing. Don't look at me.
It's like filming in the movie theater.
I'm just texting Rachel.
Yeah.
Right here. That would be awesome. Well, no, again,
Ken, is your phone look like a tape?
yeah,
That's so cool. Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's amazing.
I'm a big nerd. I have to have all the cool
That's awesome.
t-shirts and stuff. Well, I am a perpetual 5-year-old, man. I don't think I ever grew up.
It's
No,
the
and
best
this was-
thing to be.
This is how we
That's really
used
cool.
to distribute my music, was through cassettes, and I still have old cassettes of stuff that I need to put into some sort of Spotify or digital format and just
I mean,
upload it.
This is
Take
kind
a
of still
pencil
how
like
you.
this.
Yeah.
Remember, like having to pop it out in your car. You press the eject, pull it out, you flop it over, turn it around, and then pop it back in real quick
Oh man, I had a two-sided.
while you were driving.
Yeah, I had a 2-sided, and then I can't tell you, I had a pencil into the dash, and I would just poke that thing out because it was so sun-beaten that my dash was rotted. So I could just put a pencil right into the dash, and
Oh, you held it
anytime
on there?
my tape would kill, I'd just go. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm telling you, but I know George, you wanted to cut it short a little bit, and
I'm
don't
not
wanna
feeling
hold you
well.
up.
I'm sorry.
I really appreciate you guys, and being a part. Anytime I get to be a part of this podcast and talk theories with you guys, it's for me, it's paramount. And I don't know right, wrong theories, whatever. I just appreciate everybody's opinion on this panel over here.
Thanks
We
for sharing.
appreciate you sharing.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and I'm right. So
Yeah. That's what John told
You
me.
have to be right. You have to be right.
that's what John told me.
All right. Well,
George, man, Rob, Graydon, I really appreciate you guys.
you're very welcome. I'm going to go ahead and end stream unless anybody has anything else to say.
If anybody wants to reach out, ask questions, tell me how I got certain things, just reach out.
Cool.